And now we're rolling. All right, so let's start out with any questions. Considering there's a quiz on Monday, as people were expressing relief on.
I had a question about.
Somebody said it was today, and that's why I was like, awesome. So sorry, that was my mistake.
Ours too. Anna's spreading rumors, is that what I
I
heard?
guess,
Okay.
I
All right, Brian, you have a question?
I had a question about the lab.
Okay.
It's, analysis question number 4. And number 8 is pretty much the same question about the other. What are we looking for? Are you looking for like a y-intercept?
All right, so
And then how
what
much-
is the percent that the absolute value of the experimental intercept is of the maximum work value?
Okay, so part of that is that ideally the intercept should be 0. For most of the things that we do, we set it up so that it should go through the origin.
You're talking about the y-axis?
Yes.
Where it crosses the y-axis.
The vertical intercept should be 0. Not, it,
Right.
so the line should go through something like that. But reality is, it's rarely gonna do that.
Right.
Because there's always gonna be some imprecision in the measurement that you take. Now, with better instrumentation, you can get more and more precise an answer, but still, I would expect it to be a little bit off. And I think once over the past 12 years, out of however many hundreds of labs, or if not thousands of labs, once have I actually seen it go through 0 legitimately. Usually if the intercept is 0, from experimental data, it's because the student did something wrong. Not morally wrong, just messed up somewhere. So the question is, how close is it? Now, if my intercept is 0.5, that really doesn't have any meaning in and of itself. 0.5 could be a huge intercept, or it could be a small one, vertical intercept.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking you to compare this value to whatever the maximum vertical value you have is. So if this is 100, then that's a small.
That's what percentage of, right?
Yeah, so I'm asking what percentage is that of that?
That's what I thought you were asking about, it just wasn't clear.
That's the max, if that's the maximum.
And I was trying to remember how to calculate a y-intercept.
So you let the computer do it for you. Or you could go old school and derive it, but it's simpler just to let the computer figure it out for you.
That's the box in the corner.
Box in the corner, maybe. That's your intercept right there.
Okay. That's the square
It's,
across
so
the line.
the slope is that number and your intercept is that.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, I had some mental confusion there.
Okay.
I was going through math books and stuff.
Not as enjoyable
It
as
was
going
all
through
right.
physics books, but.
I thought that's what it was, but I was like, well, I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I'm here for asking.
If we do a graph online, through Word, do you want us to send it to you through an email, or is there a submission area on Blackboard for the lab?
The lab for this course, you're handing in to me on paper.
So you want us to do them on online and then print them out on paper?
Yeah, you say online, it could be on your
Or on Word?
Yeah.
Whatever,
Excel.
yeah, whatever you choose.
Yeah. I would highly recommend getting some computer software which does that. Excel, like an Office spreadsheet, LibreOffice spreadsheet, something like that.
Right.
Google Docs, Google Sheets, whatever, Google Sheets, I think it's called. But if you do it by hand, I'm expecting draftsman quality.
Right.
The school does still sponsor a free subscription to Microsoft 360.
Yes, you can still get 360, you can get it, pretty sure downloaded to your computer too.
Yeah.
The online Excel version, so you don't have it on your own PC, you're just using the online version, has some issues, unless they've updated it. The online Excel doesn't do trend lines or doesn't do the equation of the trend line. there's something fundamental that we use a great deal that they don't.
Yeah, the free 360 that I downloaded actually created some problems, but I've got all the programs in residence
Okay,
and,
then,
and Excel, it was no problem. Well, you saw the graphic
Yeah.
produced and all, it has all the data.
yeah, that should be good. It's just only the online version of Excel that has had problems in the past. I'd like to think they've updated it, but you know, they probably have the attitude of, it's free. Be grateful for what you get. I don't know.
For now.
Microsoft.
Ah,
Did we share the graph, email?
He's gonna print it out.
If,
Yeah.
I want it printed out. If you have a graph and you're not quite sure you've done it right and you want, hey, could you take a look at this? Yeah, you can email that to me.
And if we print one on one sheet and then we're like, does it matter how big they have to be as long as you can see them?
No, there might be a document out there that says one graph per page, but, some people would do two graphs on a page. I just need to be able to see it.
Okay.
My preference is not one graph over 2 pages.
Okay.
That's sometimes it happens and you'll spend an hour trying to fix that and never quite figure it out, and I'll blame Microsoft, but, yeah, that should be an exception when that happens. And Oiza had his hand up a while back.
Yeah, I have a question on the practice problems for the quiz. So like,
All right, wait, hold on. Question about lab, or
It was about a lab, the lab, yeah.
you mind if we do one more lab and then
Okay.
we'll,
Alright.
just since we were on that vein, sorry, I don't want to delay it, but,
It's quick, I just wanted to ask if each member in your lab group has to turn it in, or if the group will just turn in one?
each member turns in
The
his or her own, yes. At this point especially, I want you to show that you know how to do a graph. And don't just copy someone else's graph.
I can throw one more useful thing out there about printing, the free 360 and the Excel that I'm using at home. If you leave the cursor in the graph, in the field of the graph and then hit print, it'll automatically size that graph to a page.
Oh, okay,
And if you want it bigger, you just turn it to landscape and it'll fill up the whole landscape.
okay. Did not know. Cool.
It was automatic.
Again, from a Microsoft and Xevel point of view, it's because they said, you know what, I don't care what you want, we're gonna do something automatically, and you can just.
It did kind of startle me, because I thought I was gonna have to size it and this and that, but no, it just did it.
All right, benevolent dictator. What is it?
Oh yeah, I actually have another question for the lab, and it's on number 6. It says, why are you instructed to measure the circumference? And I wasn't really sure.
Let's say that the circumference to diameter ratio is 4, just because the math slide's simpler. So if you measure the diameter, so diameter 1.00, 2.00 in, what tag centimeters? Now, if you now calculate the circumference based upon that, you'll get 4, 8, and 12. And when you plot it, those points will be absolutely perfect. And all you've done is shown that this formula, what this formula looks like on a graph. You haven't shown the real relationship, because that number right there is actually wrong. And so if you use the formula, you're automatically assuming what the ratio is, as opposed to actually trying to discover it.
Okay. And, oh yeah. And
Sorry,
for the-
spoiler alert.
For the quiz,
Yes, that's right.
for the question listed as number 30, I was just like really confused on it, and also number 10 too.
Oh, 30 and 10, were those assigned? I'm on the wrong chapter, that's why. 30 and 10 are not assigned in chapter 2, apparently. All right, so 10, return, average distance between the Earth and the Sun. Then calculate the average speed of the Earth in its orbit in kilometers per second.
And I couldn't find the table
Anyone happen to have their textbook with them?
Got the online version.
Okay, what page is table 1.3? Is it, do you have the PDF up, or do you have the
It's
official?
like, it's the website, like, the one that we, I don't know, you had the link to this website and was like, here's the college textbook.
Okay, and you brought up
There's one chapter outline. You said graph 1.3?
table 1.3.
Okay, this is what was in here.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not sure where it would be.
Yeah, that one's slightly different than the PDF. You're using the PDF or the online version?
Oh, I couldn't find the textbook. Like, I wasn't really sure where it was listed.
Alright, hold on. So, in the syllabus, there should be a link to the OpenStax site where you can find the PDF. The table 1.3, and so if you have the PDF version of it, table 1.3 is on page 18.
Alright.
So on a quiz, if this were a quiz question, I would give you that information. I'd either give you the table or just say, you know, the distance from Earth to Sun is, and then give that number to you. Was it mainly where to find it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was mainly where to find it. I feel like now that I have the info, it'll be easier to.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I was also having trouble on 30.
Yeah.
It's the generation.
Yeah, no, number 30 has more than one issue. I was thinking I made a note of it, the fact that there is no 0 AD, which is why I included it, just because I was amused by the fact that they asked a question that actually is impossible. The other issue is that, so assume since 1 BCE or 1 BC, or sorry, CE, or AD if you want to go old school. The other issue is the lifetime. That changes, let's see, times, because generations. Oh, the other issue was they're using 10 to the 11th seconds for history, and that only works if history has only been around for 2,000 years, as opposed to prehistory.
Oh,
And the first writings, I think, clearly go back before the beginning of this era.
It's just a terrible question.
It is, and it amused me.
yeah.
Alright, so then we shouldn't, worry about that question.
I would not put too much worry into that question.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there. I know what they're asking for, they're just not doing it very clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you put that on the quiz, I'm 100% getting it wrong, so.
yeah, it's flawed. Now, maybe there's an errata somewhere, somewhere which has updated that, and I just haven't seen the correction. Alright, so, always are your questions at least
Yeah.
satisfied, if not answered?
While we're on the subject of homework, chapter 2, the number 5, Earth to the Sun.
Right,
Used a different number in your solution.
keeping on your toes. Well, let's come back to this, let's hit the chapter 1 stuff first. I think there's, Brooke and Anna, one of you.
I just wanted to ask, you said something earlier was on page 18, was that the figure 1.3 that we were talking about?
Table 1.3 is on page 18 of the PDF.
Okay, gotcha. How do you access the PDF? Cause all I found was that website. Oh, is it like available on here?
I think there's a link to
It's
PDF.
telling me to like download the app to get the PDF.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
telling me to download an app to get the PDF.
Download an app.
Yeah, like, I don't.
Is it Adobe Reader?
Huh?
Is it Adobe Reader?
It says, okay. Download the app, oh no, I clicked download PDF. And, yeah, it's not,
Alright,
it's not working.
after class, I'll be glad to take a look at it. I downloaded the PDF a couple years ago, so I don't know if they've changed or whether they're popping up an ad or something. Anna?
I am good for now.
Okay. Other questions at the moment on chapter 1 for the lab? So, chapter 2, you had an issue with something?
So number 5.
The textbook problems, I assume?
Yeah, the number you used was different than the one I found in the table in the book.
So calculate the Earth's average speed relative to the sun.
Oh, maybe that's what.
So the radius of the travel is, oh,
Right, you gotta calculate the circumference.
right.
Trying to remember which number, without the,
If you go by table 1.3, they just have 10 to the 11th meters, because that's just a rounding off. 1.5 times 10 to the 11th meters is the radius of the arc, average radius.
in the solution, he snuck in there a 1.5 for some reason, I don't know what the heck that is.
And the distance from Earth to Sun on average is 1.5 times 10 to the 11th meters.
Okay, and where did you get that? The book says,
It's common knowledge, you know, everybody knows that, right?
book says 10 to the 11th meters.
Yeah, the book in the table where it says 10 to the 11th meters, those are approximate. 1.5 is more accurate.
Is there another table in the book that has the more accurate numbers? I know, it's nitpicky, but it's just,
Well, usually in a textbook, if in doubt, you look at the, you know, just inside the front or back cover, but this one's a little bit different. I don't know off the top of my head.
Don't worry about it, I can research it. It just threw me, cause I've been using that initial table that we pointed to, in chapter 1.
Yeah, no, we're past that now.
Okay, so I need to find a better table.
Yeah, something like that, I would, if it wasn't in the textbook, I would just Google Earth to sun distance and a number will pop up. Hopefully in the order of 10 to the 11th.
This is unrelated to chapter 1 or 2, but I've downloaded the PDF for the textbook. Did you access it through the syllabus?
Yeah, so I got to the link of the website through the syllabus, but for the actual PDF, it's making me use some new stuff.
That's weird. Mine popped up in like a new tab, but I don't, no, actually I didn't download it because it's like literally over 1,500 pages, but. I like, yeah, I know, that's weird.
Anna?
I'm wondering for some of those base units, for having to do conversions on a quiz or an exam for that matter, like, should we commit these all to memory? Like, some of them I feel like are more obvious, but.
All right, the obvious ones, I'm assuming that you know, that there are 100 centimeters in a meter, that type of thing.
Right.
10 millimeters in a centimeter.
But like the femto prefix, like, is that something we will need to know for a quiz? Like, how far out should we study those to be able to do?
Those, I sometimes include them and sometimes I don't. If you're talking about the prefixes,
Yeah, just as it relates to conversions, I guess.
like millimeter or milli and centi, kilo. The ones that we use on a regular basis, I'm assuming people know.
Right.
Now, if on a quiz, so I might or might not, and throw those at the top of the quiz where I generally put that information. If I didn't put it up there and you don't know, just ask.
If it's something you should know, then I will look with sadness as I inform you that you should know. But there's loads of precedents for me putting those up on the board, and there's loads of precedents for me not writing them at the top of the page. I would generally recommend that you know those classics.
I guess I just wonder what falls in that classics category, like, is Giga considered in that category? 'Cause,
I
like,
consider it.
I would, in my chemistry class, that was one of the ones that we needed to know, but she told us exactly like, okay, this is the cutoff. So I just wonder, I guess if we don't know, we'll check with them.
Yeah, it's good to know because it's gonna save you some time, but if you don't know, just ask. Dan?
Can you use our notes in the quiz?
Nope. Only the notes up here.
Is it only for chapter 1?
The quiz on Monday is just chapter 1. Which we've now narrowed down to even fewer questions. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 were assigned, and one of them we've already thrown out, so 2 of the 4.
Which one was thrown out?
The last one.
30. Mhm. That's some funky facts.
And as I said to them, but not to you, I put it on there because it amused me. All right, I think we're ready. As long as I can find them wrong.
Chapter 2. Vectors.
So we're gonna start out this with just vocabulary, because that's everybody's favorite. So there are a couple of basic terms. There's 4 basic terms that we'll be using, 4 basic vector terms that we'll be using throughout the course. And so let's start out with position.